Imagine tracing your fingers along a jagged horizontal line in a mountain of solid granite where two distinct eras of Earth's history meet. Below your hand lies rock formed over 1 billion years ago, but directly above it, the stone is significantly younger, dating back only 500 million years. In that single, narrow crack, 1 billion years of planetary history has simply vanished. It is as if someone tore 1,000 pages out of the middle of a biography, leaving us with a beginning, an end, and a haunting, silent void in between. Geologists call this the Great Unconformity, a global phenomenon where a massive chunk of the prehistoric record is missing from the crust of our world. We are taught that the story of Earth is one of slow, steady progression, yet our very foundations are built upon a structural gap, a physical vacuum in time so vast it challenges our fundamental understanding of where we came from. This is the ultimate danger. We are building our entire understanding of existence on a foundation that is fundamentally broken. This is not a localized anomaly found in a single canyon or a solitary mountain range. This missing billion years is a wound that wraps around the entire globe, from the depths of the Grand Canyon to the peaks of the Himalayas. For over a century, the scientific community has grappled with the implications of this erasure.
And what is it made of?
How does 1 billion years of physical matter, of sediment, of life, and of chemical evolution simply disappear? If Earth is a recording device, then a massive portion of the tape has been scrubbed clean. We find ourselves staring into a dark room, wondering if we are truly the first advanced inhabitants of this planet, or if the Great Unconformity is the ultimate crime scene, where the evidence of an entire epoch was systematically ground into dust by the relentless machinery of nature. The tension lies in the silence. It is a mystery that does not scream, it waits in the shadows of the strata, mocking our attempts to reconstruct a coherent past. We are forced to ask, what was so significant that the planet had to forget it? To understand the scale of this mystery, we must first look at the sheer duration of the void. 1 billion years is an incomprehensible span of time. To put it in perspective, the entire history of complex animal life on Earth, from the first trilobite to the modern human, covers only about 500 million years. Everything we know as nature, every dinosaur, every forest, every empire, fits comfortably into a window half the size of the time that is currently missing from our geological record. If modern humanity could rise from stone tools to space travel in less than 100,000 years, we must consider what could have occurred in 1 billion. We are looking at a space of time large enough for civilizations to rise, conquer the stars, and collapse back into the Earth 1,000 times over, and yet, the rocks remain silent. This is the central conflict. The vacuum of time is so massive that it could contain everything we are, yet it currently contains nothing we can see. We are living in the shadow of a giant we cannot name. The prevailing scientific theories regarding this disappearance often point to a period of global cataclysm. One leading hypothesis suggests that during a phase known as Snowball Earth, the entire planet was encased in ice miles thick. Imagine a world where the atmosphere is a frozen shroud and the oceans are locked beneath a crystalline ceiling. As these massive glaciers shifted, they acted like a giant planetary belt sander, scouring the surface of the continents with unimaginable weight and pressure. They didn't just move, they consumed. They ground the mountains into powder and pushed the debris of an entire eon into the oceans, where it was eventually swallowed by the Earth's mantle through subduction. It is a logical, evidence-based explanation, but it carries with it an unsettling implication. If a period of intense glaciation and tectonic movement can erase 1 billion years of rock, it can certainly erase every trace of a biological or technological legacy. The very ground our predecessors might have walked on has been melted back into magma, recycled by the planet's internal furnace. We often assume that our presence on Earth is permanent, that our steel skyscrapers and concrete highways will stand as eternal monuments to our ingenuity. In reality, nature is a master of reclamation. Without maintenance, a modern city would crumble into unrecognizable mounds of vegetation and rust within a few thousand years. In 1 million years, almost nothing of our current technology would remain. In a billion years, even the chemical isotopes we've left behind would be diluted or buried so deep they would be undetectable. The Great Unconformity suggests that the Earth has a self-cleaning mechanism, a way of resetting the stage so completely that each new era begins with a clean slate. This raises a chilling question: are we the first actors on this stage, or are we merely the latest cast in a play that has been running for much longer than we dare to admit? The danger here is not a monster in the dark, but the darkness itself, the realization that we are living on a planet that specializes in forgetting. Consider the Silurian Hypothesis, a thought experiment proposed by modern researchers. It asks whether we could detect an industrial civilization in the geological record if one had existed millions of years before us. The conclusion is humbling. Beyond a certain point in time, we wouldn't be looking for fossilized buildings or machines, we would be looking for subtle chemical anomalies, an unusual spike in carbon, a strange layer of plastic-derived sediment, or an artificial shift in isotope ratios. But even these markers have a shelf life. Over a billion years, the shifting of tectonic plates and the crushing pressure of the crust would likely obliterate even these microscopic fingerprints. The Great Unconformity is a physical manifestation of this limit. It is the point where the trail goes cold, where the evidence of the past is no longer just hidden, but non-existent. We are trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces have been burned and the ashes scattered to the winds. This gap in time forces us to confront a deep-seated existential dread. If an entire billion-year era can vanish, then the permanence we feel in our daily lives is a fragile illusion. We live on the surface of a world that is constantly eating its own history. The tension between what we know and what we cannot see creates a psychological friction. We see the layers of the Earth as a ladder of progress, but the Great Unconformity shows us that the ladder has several rungs missing. We are standing at the top, looking down, and assuming we climbed every step. But what if we were placed here on a platform that was built atop the ruins of something we can no longer comprehend? The conflict is between our human ego and the geological reality of a world that recycles itself without sentiment or memory. We are not the authors of this story, we are merely reading a heavily redacted copy. The geological record is often described as a book, but it is a book that has been left out in the rain, with hundreds of pages stuck together and others torn out entirely. When we look at the rocks of the Grand Canyon, we see the Great Unconformity as a sharp, clean line. Below it, the pre-Cambrian basement rocks are tilted and scarred, evidence of a violent, ancient world of tectonic upheaval. Above it, the Tapete sandstone lies flat and orderly, containing the first bursts of complex life from the Cambrian explosion. The transition is too sudden. It is as if the planet took a deep breath for a billion years, and when it finally exhaled, a completely different world emerged. This suddenness is what fuels the debate. Why does life appear so complex and diverse immediately following the gap? Did it evolve during the missing billion years, only for its intermediate forms to be erased by the same forces that took the rocks? It feels like starting a movie halfway through. The characters are already in place, the plot is in motion, but the origins are missing. Some might argue that looking for a missing civilization in a geological gap is pure speculation. They would point to the lack of any anomalous artifacts as proof of an empty past. However, this argument may ignore the sheer destructive power of geological time. We find dinosaur bones because they were buried in specific conditions only 65 to 250 million years ago. A billion years is 4 times longer than the age of the oldest dinosaur fossil. The probability of any biological or technological structure surviving the grinding of glaciers and the subduction of the crust for that long is extremely low. The absence of evidence is not necessarily evidence of absence. In this case, it might be a reflection of the Earth's efficiency as a recycler. The planet does not archive its history, it overwrites it. Every mountain we see is a temporary monument, destined to be pulled back into the depths. The mystery of the Great Unconformity also touches on the nature of scientific consensus. For decades, this gap was treated as a minor curiosity, an expected consequence of erosion. It is only recently, with better dating techniques and global mapping, that the scale of the erasure has been acknowledged as a central problem in Earth science. It reminds us that our objective view of history is filtered through the remains that nature chooses to leave behind. We are like detectives arriving at a crime scene where the floor has been scrubbed and the furniture has been replaced. We can guess what happened, but we are working with a curated set of facts. The silence of the missing billion years is a reminder that there are limits to what we can know about our own home. We are searching for truth in a place where the truth has been deliberately buried. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of this geological thriller is the thought of our own future. If the Great Unconformity happened once, or, as some evidence suggests, multiple times in different forms, there is no guarantee it will not happen again. We see the Earth as a stable foundation, but it is actually a dynamic, churning engine. The cities we inhabit, the data centers storing our collective knowledge, and the monuments we build to our glory are all perched on plates that will eventually slide back into the mantle. In another billion years, another intelligent species might stand on a mountain range, tracing their fingers along a jagged line in the rock, wondering why there is a massive gap in the record where the 21st century should have been. They will see the same silence we see now, and they will likely draw the same conclusion, that they are the first, the only, and the most advanced. The cycle of rising and erasing creates a sense of cosmic isolation. It suggests that the planetary system doesn't just lose information, it potentially destroys it. The Great Unconformity is a physical scar that marks where the memory of the Earth failed. Whether it was caused by gargantuan glaciers or the tectonic upheaval of a supercontinent like Rodinia, the result is the same, a billion-year vacuum. This void allows for various interpretations, but even the most conservative scientific view is haunting. It tells us that for nearly a quarter of the Earth's existence, the record has been deleted. We are essentially living in the sequel to a story whose first half has been lost to time. The tension in this narrative lies in the conflict between our desire for continuity and the reality of geological chaos. We want to believe in a traceable lineage of life, a clear path from single-celled organisms to the complex societies of today. But the Great Unconformity represents a hard reset. It breaks the chain of our ancestry and leaves us floating in a present without a documented past. It introduces the possibility of lost chapters that could contain anything from strange biological experiments by nature to the rise of forgotten ancestors. Because we cannot see into the void, it becomes a canvas for our questions. We wonder if the sudden explosion of life in the Cambrian period was truly a beginning, or if it was a recovery, a repopulation of a world that had been scoured clean of its previous inhabitants. Was the Cambrian explosion the start of something new, or the return of something old? The rocks do not answer. They only offer the line, the narrow, jagged crack that separates the known from the unknowable. We are left to speculate whether the complexity we see today is a unique achievement or simply a recurring pattern that the Earth produces, then discards. Science does not hide the Great Unconformity, it presents it as a puzzle to be solved. Yet, the more we learn about the forces required to erase that much rock, the more we realize how temporary our own place in history may be. The thriller here isn't a conspiracy of silence, but a reality of physics. The laws of thermodynamics and the movement of the crust ensure that most of what has ever happened on this planet is eventually removed. We are trying to reconstruct a billion-piece jigsaw puzzle with only a handful of fragments. Every time we think we have a handle on the story of Earth, we are reminded that we are missing a significant portion of the manuscript. The very ground we trust is a witness that has been silenced. As we look deeper into the Earth's crust, we are forced to admit that we are walking on a graveyard of eras. The missing billion years serves as a humbling threshold. It is a boundary that separates the known history of life from a deep, impenetrable past. It challenges the permanence of the present, reminding us that the Earth does not preserve our records or our achievements with any specific intent. It moves to the beat of a clock that counts in millions of years, and when the cycle shifts, the slate is wiped clean. The Great Unconformity is not just a geological oddity, it is a warning. It is the silence that follows a scream, a vast, empty space that reminds us that on a long enough timeline, every mountain, every structure, and every memory returns to the heat from which it came. We may never know what happened during those missing years. We may never know if a civilization once looked up at the same stars we do, only to be ground into the sea by the weight of the ice. But the gap remains, a jagged line in the stone, inviting us to question the stability of our world. It is a mystery written in the very foundation of the Earth, a thriller with a billion-year-long plot hole that may never be filled. And as we continue to build our world on top of that void, we have to wonder, what is happening beneath our feet right now that will one day be nothing more than another missing page in the story of the Earth? The silence of the stone is not empty, it is heavy with the weight of everything we have lost. In the end, the Great Unconformity teaches us that the greatest secrets aren't always hidden in vaults, they are buried in the silence of the stone. It is a silence that speaks volumes about the transience of existence and the power of time. We are the inheritors of a broken history, survivors on a planet that has forgotten more than we will ever know. The missing billion years isn't just a scientific problem, it is an existential mirror, reflecting back to us the truth that we are but a brief flash of light in a very long, very dark room. When that light eventually fades, the Earth will be there, waiting to fold our remains back into the silent, missing chapters of its book. We must ask ourselves, if our entire history were to be erased tomorrow, what would remain in the stone a billion years from now? Likely nothing but a thin, jagged line, a silent witness to a story that was never meant to be finished.